Hello, today I want to talk about Kamigawa Neon Dynasty and the commander cards, which were printed not in the commander decks, but exclusive to set boosters and collector boosters. Starting off with a legendary creature here, Go Shintai of Life's Origin, which is a 3/4 for 3 and a green, is a legendary enchantment creature, Shrine, and it has Wooburg, white, blue, black, red, green, tap, to return target enchantment from your graveyard to the battlefield. Whenever Go Shintai of Life's Origin or another non-token shrine you control enters, create a 1/1 colorless shrine enchantment creature token. It always bothered me that they made enchantment creatures out of shrines. Shrine isn't a creature type, it's an enchantment type, like Saga. And so these creatures technically have no creature type, only the enchantment type shrine. Go Shintai of Life's Origins is ranked number 51 on EDHREC, with 16,000 decks. It's only played in the 99 of 3,000 decks, but being a 5-color commander, the options of decks it can go in are pretty limited. So its main appeal is as a commander. It commands a $5 price tag and was reprinted in a Secret Lair commander deck. This is another one of those commanders which is hampered by the narrowness of the card types it cares about, specifically shrines in this case. It's unlikely to see much shrine support outside of a return to Kamigawa, and so the decks are all going to tend to look the same if you lean in on that aspect. Now, it is a 5-color commander that cares about returning enchantment, so you could easily turn this into a Saga commander, where your whole goal is just to keep getting back Sagas over and over, and that can totally work too, and you can just ignore the whole non-token shrine text if you want to do that. This is another one of those cards which is hampered by the narrowness of the shrine card type. It's unlikely to see much shrine support in non-Kamigawa sets. Still, with 16,000 decks on EDHREC, there's no questioning its popularity. Next card here is Myojin of Blooming Dawn, which is a 4/6 for 8 mana, 5 white, white, white. It is a legendary creature spirit. Myojin of Blooming Dawn enters with an indestructible counter on it if you cast it from your hand. Remove an indestructible counter from Myojin of Blooming Dawn. Create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token for each permanent you control. And so this is part of a cycle of cards, which is a callback to the original Kamigawa block. The original Myojin were designed before Commander was a format. And in a bold move, WotC designed these new Myojin cards with the same templating, which makes them very poor commanders, since if you cast them from the command zone, you're not going to get the indestructible counter. You have to cast them, find a way to bounce them back to your hand, and then recast them in order to get the trigger. So a lot of hoops to jump through, which would explain why Myojin of Blooming Dawn has only 114 decks on EDHREC where it's the commander. Now, in the 99, it's played in 9,000 decks. It's still a 50-cent card, though. All the Myojin are played in Joda Archmage Eternal. You can play white, blue, black, red, green as an alternate casting cost, which still gets you the counter when you cast it. It also sees play in Atraxa Praetor's Voice, where you can proliferate counters every turn, so you can just keep removing a counter each turn to get the effect. Blooming Dawn also sees play in Spirit tribal decks, like King of the Oathbreakers and Millicent, Restless Revenant. Moving on to the blue Myojin of Cryptic Dreams is a 3/3 for 8, 5 blue, 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 legendary creature spirit. It says Myojin of Cryptic Dreams enters with an indestructible counter on it if you cast it from your hand. Remove an indestructible counter from Myojin of Cryptic Dreams. Copy target permanent spell you control 3 times. The copies become tokens. It's only played as a commander in 200 decks on EDHREC, but it's in the 99 of 13,000 decks. It's played in 60% of Marvo Deep Operative decks. Being able to cast it for free is nice synergy. It's also played in 36% of Tekethal Inquiry Dominus decks due to synergies with proliferation. It also seems fun in Parnis, the Subtle Brush decks, and the 12th Doctor, because those both care about copying spells. Myojin of Grim Betrayal is the black entry into the cycle for 8 mana, 5 black, black, black. It is a 5/2 legendary creature spirit, and it, like the others, enters with an indestructible counter if you cast it from your hand, and you can remove the counter to put onto the battlefield under your control all creature cards in all graveyards that were put there from anywhere this turn. And so it's only played as the commander in 49 decks, but it's played in the 99 of 7,000 decks on EDHREC. It's also a 50-cent card. This one is played in 66% of Inane Death aspect decks, since you can use your commander to basically entomb every spirit in your deck, and then remove the counter from the Myojin to put all of them into play, which is crazy. It seems like it could be really strong in a deck where you're making players mill half their libraries in a single turn. It could be fun in a Lord Xander deck. You attack with Lord Xander, make somebody mill half their deck, and then you remove the counter to put all the milled creatures into play. So it definitely has some potential. Myojin of Roaring Blades is the red entry. It's a 7/4 for 8 mana, 5 red, red, red. Legendary creature spirit. Myojin of Roaring Blades enters with a counter if you cast it from your hand, and you can remove the counter to have it deal 7 damage to each of up to 3 targets. This is only the Commander 50 decks on EDHREC, but it's featured in the 99 of 7,500 decks. It's another one of those cards, just about 50 cents. It's played in 57% of Tanuk Steadfast second decks, though it should probably be higher. You can warp it in for 3 mana and get the full effect, since you're casting it from your hand with its warp ability. It also seems good in a Hinsey list, since the Blitz cost makes it less expensive to cast your big creatures. This also seems decent in a Rakdos Lord of Riots deck. I would consider running it in mine, but I try to avoid cards with triple colored pips in their casting cost. Myojin of Towering Might is the last in the cycle. It is an 8/8 for 8. It is 5 green, green, green for a legendary creature spirit. Myojin of Towering Might enters with an indestructible counter on it if you cast from your hand, and you can remove the counter to distribute 8 +1/+1 counters among any number of target creatures you control. They gain trample until end of turn. And so barely any decks have this as their commander, but it's featured in the 99 of 7,600 decks on EDHREC. It's played in 17% of Arwen Mortal Queen decks, since she can give it an indestructible counter. It's also played in 50% of Azuri Stalker of Spheres, since it can proliferate the indestructible counters or +1/+1 counters. It also seems good in an Animar deck, since your commander makes it easier to cast, and it also benefits from the counters and trample ability. Ruthless Technomancer is the next card here. It is a 2/4 for 4, 3 and a black for a creature human wizard. When this creature enters, you may sacrifice another creature you control. If you do, create a number of treasure tokens equal to that creature's power, and you can pay 2 and a black, sacrifice X artifacts to return target creature card with power X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. X can't be 0. And so this is one of my favorite cards printed in recent years. I grabbed several copies when Neon Dynasty was released. It got reprinted in Foundation's Jumpstart and is currently a $2 card, but I think it probably deserves a higher price. It's played in 60,000 decks on EDHREC. That's nearly 2% of all decks with black cards are running this. If your commander cares about treasure tokens or sacrificing effects, you should be running Ruthless Technomancer. It's played in 30% of Vihan Goldwaker decks, 33% of Korvold Fey Curse King decks, 35% of Rakdos the Muscle decks, 37% of Inala Archmage Ritualist decks, 39% of Vazi Keen Negotiator decks, 40% of Jurymaster of the Review decks, 45% of Yargle and Multani decks, 41% of Imsker Iron Eater decks, and 65% of Evereth Viceroy of Plunder decks. Ruthless Technomancer is especially good with creatures that have a small power in your graveyard. Let's say you have a huge Bane of Progress. You can sacrifice it to the Technomancer for a bunch of treasure tokens. Then on a later turn, you can pay just 3 mana and sacrifice 2 treasure tokens to get back the Bane of Progress. The last card I want to talk about today is Yoshimaru, Ever Faithful, which is a 1/1 for 1 legendary creature dog. Whenever another legendary permanent you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on Yoshimaru, and it has partner. And you got 2 commanders that both have partner. And so it's a very simple card with a very simple effect. Yoshimaru is featured in 13,000 partner decks on EDHREC. It's also featured in the 99 of 27,000 decks. It mainly sees play in dog tribal decks or decks that care about legendary creatures. In terms of partners, Yoshimaru is often paired with Rograk, which pairing has just over 2,000 decks listed on EDHREC. Rayhan, last of the Abzan, is a close second with nearly 2,000 decks. It's had 2 reprints, one in the Cats and Dogs Secret Lair deck as a surprise bonus card, and a reskinned promo card as part of the Final Fantasy set. Both of those special treatments sell for around $45 each. The base copy sells for around $9. The first 3 Magic expansions to include commander cards, which were exclusive to set and collector boosters, all included a cycle of cards. You had the Flashback cycle in Midnight Hunt, you had the Soul Bond cycle in Crimson Vow, and now you have the Myojin cycle in Neon Dynasty. In all 3 instances, the cycle of cards proved to be the least valuable inclusions. If any of these set exclusive cards were desirable, it was not printed as part of a cycle. Now, starting with the next set, Streets of New Capenna, they would break from the formula and not include a 5-card cycle. And so the question is, what will that do for the overall value of those exclusive set and collector booster commander cards? We'll find out more next time. But thank you so much for listening. Please be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss an update. Feel free to share in the comments below if you're hearing about any of these cards for the first time and are considering them for your decks. But thank you again for listening. I definitely recommend Ruthless Technomancer. He's played in over 60,000 decks on EDHREC, so I think plenty of people already know about him. But if you haven't tried him out yet, definitely check it out. And feel free to share in the comments below if you're considering any of these cards for your decks. But thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Bye.